Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Today Isle. My name's Calixin, and today I'll be going on a journey. Yep, we're actually on our way to Kejimkujik National Park in Nova Scotia. We're going to use our pass, our Canada 150 pass, which basically allows us free entry into any of our national parks, and we're going to do a hike. So here's where you can find Keji. It's kind of in the middle of the province, of the southern part of the province, and you can't really see the borders in this Google Earth overlay, but basically we're going to travel where the hand goes in terms of the trails. We have a trail map that we got in advance, and we've planned out our journey. We're going to do about 15.5 kilometers worth of hiking. So this, yeah, it's really hard to see where the trails are, but having been there, it was easy for me to kind of retrace our steps. So this was the first set of trails, and then we went down the road here a little bit. And then we started at this parking lot, and we did another trip. And this little field here, actually, you'll see in one of the shots, the little cabin that they have there. It's basically, at one point was a farmstead, and all of this was, you know, pasture and stuff, and they had apple trees. Now it's been reclaimed by the forest, so it's pretty interesting to see. And then we finally drove down this road again a little bit further into the park, and we went to the last trail. We had intentions to go a little further, but the road was closed, so we couldn't get to the last few trails we wanted to go to, but we still managed to get in 15.5 kilometers, so we were happy with that. And this is the one that you'll see takes us out to the marshy area. Well, without further ado, let's get into the actual hiking. Kejimkujik National Park has a lot of I just stopped talking because I was talking in the video, but it wasn't extremely interesting. Basically, it's a mixture of hemlock, pine, beech trees. We don't have a lot of beech trees around here, and where we live, we don't have any pine trees, so it's kind of nice to see these different varieties. One of the really fascinating parts about this park is that it has many different, as I said in the video, biomes where, you know, it's different types of landscapes. You've got this is more of a old forest, an old growth type forest. You know, and there's a river that runs through it called the Mersey River. This is where we see different things like the waterfalls and marshlands and things like that. This is my wife Sarah, and of course Silas is with us. This is the type of thing you can expect. The trails are all really nicely groomed, and then there are these little side trails that you can take. They're probably impromptu trails that people have kind of said, hey, there might be something cool over here. And usually there is. Like this view of the Mersey River. This is a still water, which, as the name implies, is where the water is not flowing as quickly as it is in other areas of the river. And like I said before, the trails are great. They're nicely groomed. A lot of them have gravel down. Our dog loves blueberries for some reason, and he'll actually go and pick them. He's very difficult to pick blueberries with because he'll eat them all before I can get them. We were kind of in the height of blueberry season at this point, so there were quite a few around, but we weren't weren't really picking them, obviously. This is a different type of forest again, with the really tall old pine trees and hemlocks, but a lot of underbrush. In this part of the trail, we saw a lot of really interesting boulders and things like this one here. Massive, massive rocks that were actually moved by glaciers. That's how they were deposited here. This is the area I was referencing earlier, where you're kind of in an old forest that it appears to have been ravaged by a forest fire at one point, because there's very little understory. But as you travel through this densely populated woods, you come across this clearing with the little tiny barn. This is basically the heart of where the farm was at one point. Definitely overtaken over the years by the forest, but this one little clearing has been kept to symbolize where the farm was. And as I was telling Sarah in this video, I could farm this. I'd love to be in the middle of a forest with a farm. That'd be great. There's a couple of apple trees. This is on a different part of the trail. We're on a catwalk, or essentially, or a boardwalk, I should say, across the marsh, the open marsh. Crawling through some underbrush here, we found a little footpath, and we thought we'd follow it, and it came out at a different section of the river. I'm not sure if it's actually the river or if it's part of a lake system, because this is actually on the other side of where the river is, so unless it curves, which they do, this could just be a different pass between two lakes, perhaps. National parks, big ones like this, are very difficult to find, wildlife. I see a lot more wildlife in my own property than I do in a national park, but we did see some frogs. This is the type of thing, this is the reason why we hike. Just for these great little payoffs, little views, little vistas, things that you can stumble across on your journey. We were particularly struck by this particular part of the trail where you're kind of walking through extremely dense new growth, and the trail is just kind of carved out. It's almost like you're walking through a cave or a tunnel. Lots of little rivers or brooks or streams, whatever you want to call them, joined up with the main river. This one was just in behind the visitor center where we arrived. I always look at these rivers and think, I wonder if there's any trout hiding in here. That's the angler of inside me. I just want to fish everything. At this point, we're following the Mersey River to our right, and we can start to hear, well, water. As you can see, the river is definitely not a still water here. It's running pretty vigorously, and this is why. Later in the video, I'll be on the other side of this and get a different shot, because the other trail we followed is actually on the other side of the river. It's a pretty large and noisy waterfall, but amazingly beautiful. A great payoff to a hike. This is actually on the other side of the river, just kind of across this floating bridge. And it was a great shot because you could see the rocks and the grasses and things under the water. And that about sums up our hiking trip to Keji. Thanks for coming along and taking a look. If you get a chance, if you're ever in the neighborhood, definitely check this place out. Thanks for watching.